This program contains true stories of rescues.
It's First Aid with Kelly Kinkaid.
Hello and welcome to First Aid with Kelly Kinkaid. I'm your host. And, January is here. A lot of us have that thing on our list saying, I want to lose weight. Well, I got my friend to come and get me an order, Dr. Ian Smith, who has his new book, Burn, Melt, and Shred. So he's going to help us. Welcome, Dr. Ian. How are you today? And Happy New Year.
Kelly, Happy New Year. I'm great. And thanks for having me as always.
So, I'm very impressed because is this number 22 or number 21, this book?
So can I just tell you something? This is an unplanned book. Okay. This is number 22.
Wow.
Wasn't supposed to be number 22. So I was picking my kids up from school towards the end of December. And I was saying to myself, because I'm in the car by myself, I wasn't on my phone, what could I do different in 2022? And I said, I want to try to help as many people as possible lose weight, at least in the first quarter of the year. How can I do that? The first thing I realized I had to do was make my plan as accessible to as many people as possible. So instead of going to my publisher, which they're not happy about, I published the book myself, okay? Because I could control the price and bring it down to $7.99.
We like that.
Yeah, me too. I like that. I wanted everyone to be able to afford it. So I did that, number one. The second thing is I set up this Facebook group called Burn, Melt, Shred so that people can talk to me, right? And I was saying to myself, how many times do people buy a diet book, but they never talk to the author? So I'm going to make it different. I'm going to give you access to me, the guy who actually wrote the plan. So I have this Facebook group that people have joined, 4,000 people going strong right now. And then I do a weekly Zoom call. So we did one a couple of days ago where whoever wants to come on, you ask questions about the plan, about exercise, whatever it is. I am your personal guide. So that's the history, the story behind me doing this book. It wasn't planned, but I decided to do it.
So let me ask you this, like you've been on First Aid a lot of times with your other book, Shred. Now you're saying Burn, Melt, Shred, and you've been very like interactive with your group on Facebook. How are you going to touch us and get to us more with this book versus the other books?
Yeah. So this book is a very simple book. And I tell people all the time, if you want a really large tome, an epic sized book, I got plenty in my bibliography for you, my library. That's not this book. This book is a thin book, the facts of what you need to know to get busy. Because some people have said to me, just tell me what to eat, how to eat it, when to eat it. So the first thing is the simplicity of the book. It's not going to intimidate you because you open it up. There's a note for me, by the way, basically saying to you, I don't expect you to be perfect because I'm not perfect. And then we get right to the plan. The other thing about this book, which is really different, is every week could really live by itself. Every week is different. Okay. So, 1 week you may be having 3 meals and 3 snacks. Another week, it could be 2 meals and 3 snacks or 4 snacks in between. So I changed up every week so you don't get what I call diet boredom. You get tired of doing the same thing every week. So I think that people love the flexibility of the program. And the last thing is we do different types of intermittent fasting in this program. We do what's called time restricted feeding, which you probably already know, which is windows. You eat for this window, you fast for this window. And then we do the 5-2 method, which is 5 days of regular eating and 2 days of lower calorie eating. So this book just has a lot going on.
Right.
And because it has a lot going on, people are excited about it.
So in this book, you give us an 8-week plan. What's the success? I know you test your stuff out. What's the success on this 8 weeks? What can I get done? Because that kind of gets me excited because I can do something quick for vacation.
Yes. Well, before I give you that number, everyone wants numbers, and I'm a numbers guy. I want to say this. Everyone loses weight differently at different paces and different places. So, we can't compare ourselves to each other. But the average weight loss in the 8 weeks is anywhere from about 8 to 10 pounds that people have lost. Some people need to lose more. Some people follow the plan tighter. It really depends. I always say you get out of it what you put into it.
And, there's a lot of us who are lifelong people who are always on diets. So my question to you, Dr. Ian, for 2022, how can we become consistent and not till June or December, but how can we be lifelong people to just change and do this as a habit?
This is my favorite question right here.
Uh-oh.
This is a really deep question. I'm going to tell you, it's very
Yes.
deep because as someone who has authored so many diet books, I want to go out of existence. I want me not to have to write these books. What I would really like, and this is the truth, and I've said this so many times, I would love people to make a commitment to themselves that they are going to adopt better habits, not be perfect. I eat pizza, I eat ribs, I eat everything. Cake, I love cake, sweet potato pie. But it's our habits, Kelly, right? You have to have enough discipline and control psychologically to say to yourself, listen, one slice of sweet potato pie, that's enough. I'm good with that. I'll
Right.
wait a couple days for no, I'm good with that. And so I really believe that if people, first of all, acknowledge you are never going to be perfect, number one. Number two, you are going to eat fun food. I don't call them cheat foods. You are going to eat fun foods. You and I go to a lot of sporting events. Okay. I'm going to a Bulls game next week. Okay.
Right. Right.
But I'm going to have a piece of rainbow cake, which I always get at a Bulls game. Okay. And I'm going to have a pretzel. I don't eat all of it, but I eat some of it. When you know that you're able to say, I'm going to have some and put the rest away, now you are on the path, Kelly, to not having to follow diets. You're now making better decisions. I try to teach people how to make better decisions most of the time, not all the time. And I think that people can get off of the diet yo-yo, the merry-go-round of dieting and the yo-yo dieting, if they say to themselves, I'm going to find a way to eat consistently, but not perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Is this program good for people with diabetes, high blood pressure?
Great question. So on all of my programs, the key, I think, to why people like my books is because I make them flexible, right? I don't believe in rigidity when it comes to nutritional plans because if it's too rigid and if it doesn't fit exactly what you need, then the book is not for you. So with mine, every day you have options for your meals and you can swap in and out. So I tell people if you're a diabetic and you need to eat better carbs or less carbs, choose the lower carb, better carb options. I give you those options. If you're a vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, doesn't matter. Burn, melt, shred will still work for you because of all the options that you have. And so, yeah, I build into my program flexibility, and I also build in the possibility you're not going to do great all the time. So I have a cushion.
Okay.
You do keto, Kelly. When you do keto, you are converting your body into an artificial state, what's called ketosis. Okay. And the minute you eat off the plan, you know what happens? Everything collapses and you got to start all over again.
Right.
In my plans, I build in that you're not going to eat every meal that I've asked you to. You're going to have a bad day or a couple bad days, but it's forgiving. It's a forgiving plan.
Right. How is so you've already started. You have like a challenge going on. What's been the best thing as dealing with all the people who've registered now? Because I want to get more people to register and let us know.
I got to tell you, I made a 3-month commitment, and 2 days ago, I got very emotional. Like I started crying because in order to join my group, I ask you 3 questions before you join the group. 1, are you going to be a good community member and be positive and supportive of others? 2, are you planning on following the plan? There's no need being here if you don't want to follow the plan because we all need to do it together. And 3, are you going to refrain from making comments that are political or selling things? That's not what this group is about. This group is about we are in the struggle together. The other day, I realized that a woman answered when I asked her if she was going to follow the plan in the questions. The woman put into the answer, she said, I can't afford to buy the plan now. I'm going to get it on my payday in 2 weeks. And I was like, wow, the book is $7.99 and she's having struggles coming with $7.99. That's real. Okay. I've been there before, by the way. I grew up on the other side of the mountain. So I decided I was going to post in the group. Anyone who has difficulty getting the plan, I will loan you $7.99 until you're up on your feet.
Yeah.
I did this post, and guess what? Within 30 minutes, 55 people offered money for those who wanted to join and couldn't afford it. I was blown away.
Yeah.
But I tell you that story to tell you that is the ethos of this group. It's all about being positive, particularly in these really crazy negative times that we find ourselves in.
We talked about making this like a lifestyle change, a habit. A lot of us we all love food, a lot of foodies out here, and it becomes this addiction to food. Is there something in your chapter that you kind of give us a history of why we do what we do with eating to help us with this burn, melt, shred?
So in this book, because it's just a slim, we're going to get right to it kind of book, it doesn't have the psychological aspect of it. However, my other book, which is called Mind Over Weight,
Yes.
Mind Over Weight, this small little book here, this small little book is all about what happens between the 6 inches between your ears. And it talks about your relationship to food. Do you have a healthy one or unhealthy one? Is this actually the right time in your life to lose weight? Sometimes, sorry, hold on. That's my son calling me, so just ignore it. Sometimes we start losing weight or try to lose weight at times that aren't the best times, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's the new year. Oh, it's time to lose weight. That's not how weight loss should happen. Or you're stressed out. You have family issues. You have work issues. So this book here, Mind Over Weight, really addresses how do you psychologically get yourself in the position to be able to have a good relationship with food and to be able to lose weight and maintain it.
I like that book because it's really it's a good read now while we're back in the house again, not out as much, and you really have access to food anytime you want. And so getting that balance, like staying consistent and really burn, melt, and shred is like, if I'm always a fan of like a bear. If you don't get active now, like when it's time for summer, you're gonna be out. And like I love this 8-week plan. Tell people how can people register to be in this group and get the week.
Yes, it's very easy. The Facebook group is called Burn, Melt, Shred. The book can be found. The digital version is $7.99 on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. My email is burnmeltshred@gmail.com. I respond to all the emails myself. And my Instagram, which what started all this, is Dr. Ian Smith. Spell the doctor out, IAN Smith. But I make myself as accessible as possible to you guys because I realize that weight loss is not easy, and sometimes you need some help, some guidance, and a little bit of a push.
Last thing, breaking down the grocery list. I wanted to say, can you just remind people going grocery shopping, because we hear a lot about it's too expensive to diet, but it's and it's a choice. Going to the grocery store, what's the best way to shop in the store?
Well, this is a great question, and let me start the answer by saying this: before you choose any diet plan, I say you always look at the first thing is affordability. Can you afford the foods that the diet plan is asking you to eat? People look and they see a diet book on the cover, so-and-so, some celebrity lost this much weight on the cover of People magazine, and they see the diet that the person was on, and then they go get it. Mm-hmm. But they don't look at it to say, well, can I eat this food from a financial standpoint? Also from a taste standpoint, do I want to eat raw food or whatever it is? So that's the first thing, is affordability. When you go to a grocery store, and by the way, in Burn, Melt, Shred, I chose foods that you can get in any major grocery store. You don't have to go to, I'm not going to mention the name, to expensive niche supermarkets. Right. But here's the idea. Spend most of your time in the outer perimeter of the store. That's where the healthiest food is. Okay. So most of your basket, your goods should come from there. Number 2, don't be afraid of frozen and canned. In the old days, we would say, oh, don't eat that stuff, it's not as nutritious. But now they have better freezing and canning processes that are making it healthier. Make sure it's low sodium. Make sure it's flash frozen, or that it's packed or frozen in water. That way, you still have the nutrients. It's fine. You have to be careful of them adding additives. No, you don't want any additives to their freezing or canned process. And lastly, try to bulk up on things that are shelf stable, things that are going to last for 30, 60 days. Try to buy those items and make different menu options off of those is very helpful.
Thank you. I needed that. I needed to hear all that again, refresh my mind. Before we get off, Doctor, we are still in this pandemic and we're getting new variants and what have you. And for myself, I know people who are vax boosted and still getting COVID. Mm-hmm. Before we end, can you just tell us, how can we protect ourselves in times like these?
Yeah. Let me just tell you this, and this is a whole nother podcast, but let me tell you this. What people have to understand is that the vaccine does not prevent you from getting COVID. The vaccine prevents you from having a really severe course if you get infected and from dying and being hospitalized. That's the real value of the vaccine. People who think that, oh, I got vaxxed, so I'll never get COVID, and then they get COVID, they're like, well, the vaccine doesn't work. That's not how the vaccine works. It prevents you. Same thing with the flu. The flu vaccine doesn't stop you from getting the flu infection, but it allows your body to respond faster when you get infected so you don't get severely ill. This is where we are. And, I'm a very positive person, but I'm also very honest. I think that where we are in this country, given all of the resistance to vaccinations, to masking, social distancing, and people politicizing it, I think we're going to have to learn how to live with COVID. And by that, I mean that COVID is not suddenly going to disappear. We are, for the next foreseeable future, going to have periods of big numbers of cases going down, big numbers going. That's it. And so every individual is going to have to assess what their risk profile is they're willing to take. So you have to decide if the activity you want to participate in is worth the potential risk of being infected. There's some things in my life where, I got an invitation to go co-host. This is true. I got an invitation to co-host a show in a state that has no mask requirements or mandates, that people aren't wearing masks. And I said, for me, it's not worth the risk to go into that state where everyone's walking around without masks and the vaccine rate is low. However, I will do things like I'm going to go to a Chicago Bulls basketball game because to me, I'm going to be in a very controlled environment at the game, and that risk is worth it to me. So, Kelly, we're going to have to deal with this. Everyone's going to have to make their individual assessments about what the risk is going to be and what it should be. But I think that it's here to stay for a while.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Well, once again, I appreciate your time. Congratulations on book number 22, which is special because it's self-published. So please go purchase this and be a part of the Facebook program that he has right now. I appreciate you once again. Thank you. And I'll see you on the next book, number 23.
Yeah, that comes out in April. It's called Plant Power. We're going to have to learn how to eat more plant-based foods.
I love it. Thank you so much. Love you
Happy
too.
New Year.
Thank you. Bye-bye.